Do we like cheese?
County Line asked the experts about old-fashioned cheese.
Why, when I met Joe, he was working in Mr. Bradley's cheese shop.
Your mom insisted on our best-aged cheddar.
That was cheese.
Then they tasted County Line, the cheese that says the old ways are still the best ways to make old-fashioned taste. Tastes so good.
Joe, this cheese.
Just like back then.
County Line, old-fashioned and proud of it.
We're Beatrice.
Our life is a mess. I'm leaving you, Martha.
Oh, Tom, please, you can't.
Sometimes the dishes just have to sit till life's little tragedies are over.
He's a beast.
And dishes that sit are tougher to clean.
That's a beast.
But only Sunlight Liquid has the juice of one whole lemon. Sunlight cuts the tough stuff loose. Cuts baked on, caked on, stuck on food. Even grease.
Now, Michael Drake.
This guy's an animal.
Destiny.
Sunlight with lemon juice cuts the tough stuff loose.
$39. Right now, soft contact lenses are just $39 at the optical department at Sears.
Another bargain dishwasher added to the graveyard. Some were made with plastic, some with porcelain. They all rusted. Now they're useless. Thermador designs dishwashers with lasting value. Thermador uses stainless steel just like a commercial dishwasher. It's guaranteed not to rust or corrode for 20 years. Invest in a Thermador dishwasher and enjoy maximum loading flexibility and sparkling clean dishes. You'll be glad you did for at least 20 years.
See Thermador stainless steel at Warner's Stellian Appliance, St. Paul.
Glacier National Park in the early 1900s. Louis Hill Sr., the Blackfeet Indian Nation. For some, the best of times. For some, the worst. The railroad brought them together. See After the Buffalo Were Gone, an exhibit at the Science Museum of Minnesota.
Stay tuned for the 5 p.m. report, followed by the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather. Then join Dave Moore and Pat Miles on the 6 p.m. report. At 6:30, America's favorite game show spins your way, The Wheel of Fortune, all on Channel 4.
Sure, I've traveled in space. Even wrote a book about it. But when I really want to get away from it all, I count on this book. I know my way around up there, but when it came to traveling down here, I was lost. So I turned to the Yellow Pages. I found a travel agent who gave me all the guidance I needed. Take it from a guy who's been around. No matter what you need in this world, count on the Yellow Pages. It's got the right stuff.
The Northwestern Bell Yellow Pages, published by U.S. West Direct.
Jerry's kids need our help. The Walzer Store has volunteered to be the official dealer sponsor of the Jerry Lewis Super Show. Through Labor Day, we will donate $100 in your name for every vehicle sold.
Our 1,500 cars and trucks, all at the lowest prices of the year. Factory financing at 7.7% or lower on most new vehicles, or cash back up to $1,500. Imagine closeout prices and 7.7.
Help yourself to a great deal and help Jerry's kids.
Don't miss it at all 5 Walzer locations.
It started as most wars do, with a minor incident.
Coke, Pepsi.
And today has escalated into the sheer silliness known as the Cola Wars.
Coke is better. Pepsi's better.
Why all the fuss? Especially when there's the crisp, refreshing taste of 7-Up. You see, there's no cola like the Un-Cola. 7-Up, the Un-Cola.
WCCO Television, Minneapolis, St. Paul. From the WCCO Television studios at the Minnesota State Fair, this is the 5 p.m. report.
Popcorn, cotton candy, caramel apples, those little teeny donuts. They're all here along with all the carnival rides that go hand in hand with the Minnesota State Fair. An admittedly soggy opening day, as you can see, but crowds have managed to make it to the Midway nonetheless. Good afternoon, everyone. Debbie Ely and I sitting in for Pat Miles and Don Shelby, who have been assigned otherwise for this opening day of the State Fair.
And again this year, we are broadcasting live from the WCCO television booth here at the fairgrounds each day at noon, 5, 6, and we'll be back at the station at 10. The fair is now more than 11 hours old, and this is Senior Citizens Day. Today, many of them came in busloads to take in all of the attractions. New this year is the Whitewater Raft Ride. But there are also those old standbys, such as the slide in Ye Old Mill. And just as entertaining as the rides are some of the radio personalities who are doing their shows from the fair this year. Boone and Erickson, for example.
August, how are you?
Yes, fine. Yes, fine.
So you were checking out the Ludicrous?
Oh, yeah, they got Ludicrous con carne.
Well, we couldn't find the Lutefisk con carne stand, but we did see just about everything else this year. This year's fair is expected to attract about 1.4 million people, and it lasts through Labor Day. Dave?
But as you would understand, we do have other news this afternoon, much of it what we call in the business the hard news. In Britain, there's been another air disaster. This time, it happened at the airport in Manchester, England. A British Air Tours Boeing 737 with 137 people aboard caught fire as it was taxiing down the runway for takeoff. Witnesses say the left engine caught fire and the rear of the jet was in flames as it came to a stop at the end of the runway. Many passengers managed to escape through emergency chutes, but at this hour, at least 54 people are known to be dead. Officials say they don't know yet what caused the fire. They estimate the plane was traveling at about 100 miles an hour when the flames erupted. The passengers were on their way to Corfu, and it's not known yet if any of them were Americans, but British Air Tours generally handle trips strictly for British residents. About 1,000 striking Hormel meat packers from Boston brought their cause to downtown Minneapolis today. The target of local P9 members is the First Bank system. The union claims the First Bank, a major stockholder in Hormel, can influence contract talks. Both Hormel and the First Bank flatly deny that claim. The strikers hope passersby downtown will sympathize with their cause and apply some pressure to both First Bank and Hormel. Union is also looking for financial help through leaflets passed out to the pedestrians. Minneapolis and Bloomington can stop pushing for state subsidies for their respective convention center proposals. At the second closed-door meeting this week, House and Senate leaders told the governor that state aid for either proposal is out. Governor Perpich will meet next week with officials of both cities and with the Gamasian brothers to determine if a compromise can be worked out. Lawmakers say they would help by allowing the cities to raise taxes on their own if they can agree where a convention center might be built. Deb?
A federal appeals court will decide the constitutionality of a Minnesota law trying to restrict corporate takeovers and preserve business in the state. It comes in the case of an aviation services company based in Bloomington. Alan Cox has the details from our Minneapolis newsroom. Hi, Alan.
Good afternoon, Debbie. This is a case having to do with Van Dusen Air Incorporated, a company of aviation services. They bought Burlington Northern Air Motive out of Twin Cities International. For many years, they've been involved in supplying airplane parts. And they are a publicly traded company with stock listed on the stock exchange. And a few weeks ago, a group of New York investors revealed that they intended to try to buy the company up. At this point, they own just shy of 20% of the company's stock, and they say they want to own it all. Once they approach 20%, they fall under the Minnesota Corporate Takeover Act, a law that was passed by the legislature last year, amended this year in an attempt to stem the corporate takeover tide. The fear being among lawmakers that companies like Van Dusen Air, based in Minnesota, could be bought by other concerns outside of the state, operations in Minnesota consolidated, and hurting the business climate of Minnesota. There have been a few cases under the act before, and they have gone into court challenges, but none of them ever came to fruition. None of them ever came down to a ruling on the merits. As to whether this one will, Federal District Judge James Rosenbaum last week, in one of his first rulings on the federal bench in Minneapolis, held that the Minnesota law was unconstitutional, that basically people should have the right to sell stock to whomever they wish, to whatever extent they wish. But Judge Rosenbaum delayed the putting in his own order until this week, and today, in a rather unusual court proceeding, a federal appeals court panel of 3 judges met by telephone. One was in Duluth, one was in Des Moines, and one was in Kansas City. They decided to continue that stay until September 5th, when they can meet in person in St. Paul and hear arguments on whether the Minnesota corporate takeover law is or is not constitutional.
Maybe you mentioned this, Alan, and I missed it, but how many other companies could stand to be affected by this?
could be affected by a large number of Minnesota companies. Companies in Minnesota that are held largely by Minnesotans or that are incorporated under the laws of the state of Minnesota. It's a law that was pushed for by many of the public interest groups in the state because of this concern that corporate takeovers getting so much publicity these days and occurring so often in the national arena could hurt the business climate in this state by taking control out of Minnesota. There have been a few cases under the Minnesota law in the past year in which there have been corporate attempts at takeover, but as I say, none of them has really gotten down to a final constitutional test of the Minnesota law.
Okay, Alan, thank you very much. Federal Judge Miles Lord, who this year earlier announced his semi-retirement today, said that he'll quit the bench entirely on September 11th. Judge Lord has become a controversial figure in the Minnesota area for his handling of cases involving consumer and environmental issues. Lord said today that in retirement, he will establish a law firm dedicated to defending the rights of the people of Minnesota. We'll return live from the opening day of the Minnesota State Fair in just a moment. The time now is 7 minutes after 5.
Our time is really important to us.
We both work, and with school, music lessons, gymnastics, scouts.
Well, time is at a premium. And that's why we go to Jonathan Dental.
You see, Jonathan Dental offices are open weekends and evenings, so we don't have to change our schedule to meet theirs.
And the quality of care we receive makes us feel like they really are the caring professionals.
Jonathan Dental, it just makes sense.
Check the yellow pages for the Jonathan Dental office nearest you.
High-performance photography lets you capture the nightlife. The Minolta X700, from computer program where you set nothing, even in flash, to creative manual where you control everything, stops the action in any light at 3.5 frames a second. The Minolta X700, the first camera ever voted Camera of the Year on 2 continents.
Only from the mind of Minolta.
Kellogg's Nutri-Grain.
This is dedicated to the ones we love.
Okay, I know his swing has lost some of its zing, but to me, he's still pretty nifty. So no morning goes by without his Nutri-Grain cereal. Nutri-Grain has no sugar added, no preservatives or cholesterol. It's full of the natural whole grain that's so good for him. And he loves that special Nutri-Grain taste, almost as much as I love him.
Nutri-Grain from Kellogg's.
Dedicated to the ones we love.
Bob Graham today recommended a 76-year-old convicted murderer be freed while his appeal is still going on. Graham said at a morning news conference that special circumstances in the Roswell Gilbert mercy killing case prompted him to make that decision. He is serving a 25-year prison term for the murder of his wife, who has been in bad health, or who was in bad health at the time of her death.
Pending the resolution of his appeals in the Florida state courts, in my judgment, represent mercy.
Before he is free, 3 of Florida's 6 cabinet members must accept the governor's decision. Dave?
The 10-day lockup at Stillwater State Prison has ended. It was called in the middle of what was called a pre-AIDS scare. Inmates there were concerned and confused after an inmate had been diagnosed as having pre-AIDS. So officials took the action to prevent a panic and to educate the inmates about the disease. There is talk in financial and medical circles today about a new drug that can reportedly cure baldness. It's called Minoxidil, and it's manufactured by Upjohn. And as Tony Vigneri explains from our Minneapolis newsroom, it has not yet been released to the public, but sales through prescription are up dramatically already. Tony, correct me if you will on the pronunciation. First of all, is it Minoxidil?
No, Dave, it's Minoxidil. Close, but no cigar.
I wasn't even in the same drugstore, was I?
Dave, with the exception of hair transplant, there has been nothing to date that can really grow hair on a bald head. But it seems, according to some, that now there is. It's a drug manufactured by the Upjohn company called Minoxidil. But the drug was not intended for use to grow hair on a bald head. It's a prescription drug used for hypertension. But when the majority of those using it for high blood pressure began growing unwanted hair, Upjohn took a second look. Research on the baldness drug has been going on for more than 2 years. But Upjohn still isn't ready to call it a miracle cure for baldness, so the research continues. An Upjohn spokesperson in Michigan told me today that the Upjohn company does not recommend its use for hair growth, but many people are using it regardless. a Coon Rapids doctor. Ted Buselmeyer has been using a Minoxidil solution for 3 years. He has treated 2,300 patients, probably the biggest number of patients treated in one place in the country. He claims 80% of his patients have hair growth after using Minoxidil over a long period of time. Now, since the FDA wants all the facts about the drug in before it releases it to the general public, the FDA is urging people not to use it until all the information about the side effects of the drug are known. Meanwhile, Upjohn hopes to have it on the market in 2 years. That is, if all the research confirms that the drug really works. Dave?
Tony, I know there's no precedent for this kind of thing to make any particular kind of measurement. How long and how much it would be involved in the research? You're talking about side effects. You're talking about physical side effects. Are those metabolic or would they be muscular?
Well, the FDA is talking about side effects that include dizziness, increased heart rate. But the doctors that we have talked to say that they haven't had any side effects. Now, the FDA wants to make sure before it releases this to the general public, before it can be purchased over the counter, that everything is clean and there are no problems at all. So the FDA won't release that until it confirms its research, concludes its studies, which may take at least another year.
I see. And I also, it has not been released to the public, we understand that. Were these selected research people who were asked to demonstrate this Minoxidil?
Well, there's two different research projects going on, one by the FDA and by Upjohn. Upjohn has selected 28 cities. Minneapolis is one of the 28 cities that they're testing people on. They have already started, or they're about to start a third study here in Minneapolis, and that'll take at least about a year to complete.
Once applied, did they say how long they thought it might take?
It depends. It could take several weeks. It could take several months. It depends on the person, and you have to do it 3 times a day to put it on to see any hair growth. Dr. Buselmeyer has indicated that 80% of his patients have the hair growth.
I see. It depends, I guess, if you're Bud Kraehling or Dave Moore.
That would help too.
Matter of time. Thank you, Tony. Good work. Our Thursday 5 will continue from the State Fairgrounds in just a moment with a look at some of the new features here this year. Right now, the time is, well, I guess you'd say, it's probably about, it's 4 seconds, 13 minutes after 5 o'clock.
Your body, like any fine instrument, can become out of tune, needing the attention and care of a professional. Your doctor of chiropractic will help eliminate the pain, discomfort, and stress that can make you feel out of tune. Because when your body's in tune, you feel grand. For further information, call 927-2800.
When we introduced Edie's Grand Ice Cream to the Twin Cities, some extraordinary things happened. A meter-maid smiled and gave someone who needed a quarter. A Belgian nun broke into song in a public square. Most smiles lasted 6 to 8 seconds. And generally speaking, it was the happiest the Twin Cities had been in a long time. It takes an awfully good ice cream to do that. But then again, it's not just ice cream. It's Edie's Grand Ice Cream.
Last year, the Mulroys of Bismarck, North Dakota came all the way to Minneapolis for a coronary angioplasty. Their doctors said that for serious illness, Abbott Northwestern has the most advanced medical technology within 1,000 miles and successfully performed more heart procedures than any hospital in the region. Abbott Northwestern. It's right here in Minneapolis, though sometimes our loving arms reach all the way to North Dakota.
Dandy, light and lively six-pack. Snack it, smack it, back it, pack it, tuck one in your jacket.
Yogurt lovers, you'll love the money-saving six-pack of light and lively low-fat yogurt. So smooth, creamy, fruity, and delicious.
So stock a sack, get the knack of the handy-dandy, light and lively six-pack.
Well, you know, I watched this fair from outside there one year, and I always wondered, what do those people talk about while they're in commercials and things like that?
I was talking about your hair, a little high right here in the middle. You know, one of the popular attractions out here, outside of our WCCO booth,
is the Future Farmers of America Children's Barnyard. It's just a half a block down the street.
over there today.
Over this way. They also have the official rain gauge out here at the fair.
And what does it read today?
Okay, they measured 2/100 of an inch in showers early this afternoon. Just kind of enough to put down the dust, I guess, out at the fair. But it's been cloudy the afternoon. About a half hour ago, we had just a few brief moments of sunshine, but it looks like it's going to stay cloudy tonight, and a forecast of some rain later tonight. A year ago, the morning temperature pretty much like today, incidentally. Our temperature right now is 68. A year ago, the temperature was 54, and we had a high of 68. The warmest August 22nd was 97 degrees, 1971, and the coolest was 46 degrees in 1923. Right now, I said it was a very similar day this day as it was a year ago. The temperature now is at 68 degrees, while the dew point is at 61 degrees. That combination makes it a little bit uncomfortable. Humidity 77%. The wind is from the southeast, 9 miles an hour. Pressure reading is 30.02, and the pressure is falling, so it's cloudy. The temperature at 68 here at the fair. Well, we've had a low-pressure center, well, in the eastern Dakotas. This is a typical summer thunderstorm situation, where there's a warm front just ahead of the low, and there's a cold front here, and a warm pocket there, moist air, rain all the way down to St. Louis, where it was 70 degrees, Boston 70, but they were sunny today. New Orleans at 91. Here's one of the hot spots, 105 at Phoenix today, and 78 degrees at Boise. There are showers and have been scattered through the 5-state area today. The heaviest rain has been in parts of Iowa, Missouri, and Kansas. Now, earlier today, Chanute, Kansas had 3 inches of rain, 3.5 at Joplin, Missouri. There's some flooding of the Neosho River in the southeastern part of Kansas. But we've had some storm damage at Trail City, South Dakota over the afternoon. Some crops were destroyed there, and we have thunderstorms over, well, just south of Rochester into the northeastern part of Iowa, and some thunderstorms just through the northern edge of Mille Lacs. Those are thunderstorms, cloud-to-ground lightning strikes just on the other side of Mille Lacs, and some heavy thunderstorms that have moved through southern Minnesota into the southeastern part of the state. Here's our forecast for the evening in the metro area. That forecast is for mostly cloudy showers and thunderstorms by late evening, with a low temperature tonight around 60 degrees. And for Friday, mostly cloudy. Periods of showers and thunderstorms are likely again, with the afternoon temperature at 70. And Saturday, continued cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms with a high of 72 degrees. And the pollen count is at the higher category today. That is 98 grains, and 80% of that is ragweed. And it takes a lot of nerve to talk about the pollen count out here at the fair with all that ragweed and the chance of rain for the next couple of days.
And we encourage people, if they want to come on out and join us, to come on out and watch.
Bring an umbrella.
Right.
Bill Carlson now offers a look at some of the new sights at the State Fair in today's installment of Entertainment Up.
With an entertainment update for Thursday, August 22nd, I'm Bill Carlson. Opening day of the Minnesota State Fair, and umbrellas were in order. There were lots of old-timers among the fans. There were some brand-new fans. There were some old familiar attractions, and definitely some brand-new attractions.
For those who weren't satisfied with the scattered showers as a way of getting wet, there was the $1.5 million whitewater raft ride to do the job. And some find their determination for a wetting down taking some rather unusual routes. Even the more conservative fairgoer finds unusual company as a result of a simple stroll across the lawn. These creatures are participants in Monty's Traveling Reptile Show, a show which Monty Creason turns into an educational experience.
In the last 10 years, I've done over 8,000 schools where I've traveled to different schools and give these assembly programs where I use my reptiles as tools to get the kids' attention. But the real thing I'm trying to pound into these kids' head is that, hey, it's up to your generation to clean our rivers and our lakes up, because my generation has made them so dirty.
Monty's traveling companions, which range from tiny lizards to an 18-foot, 200-pound python, tour the U.S. and Canada in a specially constructed trailer to ensure the comfort of human and reptile traveler alike.
So I'm kind of a self-spun environmentalist, a naturalist, and I took a hobby, which, you know, outgrew my home, and I put it to work. And I am exploiting my friends, but before I go to bed at night, I make sure that each and every one of them are secure and safe and happy. And if they don't like traveling with me, I find them a better home, because not all of them do enjoy bouncing down the highway.
But those who do enjoy the traveling life can be seen right now at the Minnesota State Fair.
With Kent Westberg, Bill Carlson with an entertainment update for Thursday, August 22nd.
I distinctly heard him say, "Get him off me! Get him off me!" The Thursday Five will continue live from the 1985 Minnesota State Fair in just a moment. The time is now 20 minutes and 37 seconds after 5 o'clock.
There's so much for your eyes at the optical department at Sears. Shatter-resistant lenses, Permalite scratch-resistant lenses, or True Vision no-line bifocals, tinted lenses, and every kind of contact lens. Come in and look us over.
There's more for your life
At the optical department.
at Sears.
Every stylish frame in our entire regular stock now half price when you buy prescription lenses. The optical department at Sears.
Northern Hydraulics is having their fall roundup sale. Listen to these super buys. To power electric tools, emergency backup or remote power, Agtronic generator supply at any place, anytime. 4,000 watts of power, sale priced at only $397.95. Durable Campbell Hostel air compressors for home and industry, from the 5-horsepower model from $479.95 to the popular half-horsepower Power Pal with accessories at $94.95. Come on out and take a look at Northern Hydraulics fall roundup specials now through September 25th.
Where does Kellogg's Apple Raisin Crisp cereal get its homemade taste?
Homemade taste?
Does Apple Raisin Crisp get its homemade taste from apples like Grandma baked?
Tastes like my recipe.
Does Apple Raisin Crisp get its homemade taste from the raisins that sweeten its taste?
I love raisins.
Do the big crisp flakes with the apples baked on bring on that crunchy taste?
Apples baked in the flakes.
Where does Apple Raisin Crisp get its delicious homemade taste?
Only from Kellogg's.
It's incredible. Your Cadillac dealer announces the lowest finance rate ever offered by GMAC. 7.7% financing on Cadillac DeVilles, Fleetwoods, and Cimarrons saves you thousands of dollars. Luxury, performance. And now, 7.7% financing. See your Twin Cities Cadillac dealer today. His interest will never be greater, but yours will.
South Africa's Black National Union of Mine Workers today postponed a threatened strike on 29 gold and coal mines. Union leaders are presenting the mine owners' new contract offer to union members. And while a state of emergency continues in South Africa, President Reagan is considering whether to impose economic sanctions against the white government. Jim Gately of our Washington newsroom talked to one South African expert who says no to such sanctions.
Most everyone agrees that some sort of message should be sent to the government of South Africa. But on the question of sanctions, one argument is they have not worked against other countries. The public U.S. position on South Africa's racial policies is clear. The United States is against discrimination by the white minority government. Congress wants economic sanctions that would limit American investment. The president hasn't stated publicly if he'll sign or veto the measures. But South African expert Stuart Butler says the sanctions are not significant.
The kinds of sanctions that are being discussed are really fairly minimal. The South African economy is not going to collapse because of any sanctions being considered. It will even collapse if American firms were to pull out.
Butler claims recent history shows us something. The U.S. dislikes the communist Sandinista government of Nicaragua, so we imposed trade restrictions.
Remember that the sanctions policy against Nicaragua was really the last resort for the administration. They looked at all kinds of alternatives and Congress turned them down. And as we're seeing, it's making no effect whatsoever on Nicaragua. There's no sign that it's bringing that regime down or that it's causing it to change policy or whatever.
Butler believes the Carter administration's Soviet grain embargo also did very little to change Russian policy. The problem, according to Butler, who works for the Conservative Heritage Foundation, the U.S. can only do so much.
There's very much a limit. We discovered limits to American power all over the world. We discovered a very severe limit in Lebanon, for example.
Other people argue that while the sanctions may not be that strong, they are better than the president's policy of trying to verbally pressure South Africa for change. Jim Gately, WCCO News, Washington.
Lotto fever is really catching on, not only out east, but in Iowa as well. We'll tell you about it when the Thursday Five resumes in just a moment. The time now is 25 minutes after 5 o'clock.
SOS, shocks on sale. Repeat, shocks on sale. New factory fresh IBM PC Junior computers, originally priced at $995, now below dealer cost $347. All gear now 20 to 80% off.
Repeat, hundreds of TVs, VCRs, home stereos, car stereos, and computers marked down to generate cash. SOS, shocks on sale. Suggest you take immediate action.
Being a duke is not what it used to be. Opened the house to tourists. Good morning. Sold the family silver. Auctioned the 17th Duke. Fact is, nearly everything's gone, except the old family favorite, Schweppes tonic. Essence of fresh fruit, cheeky little bubbles. Schwepperwesen.
Oh, thank you very much, Your Lordship.
My pleasure.
Schweppes, the great British bubbly.
Hello, Orkin. This is Mrs. Jones. I have bugs in my house. Ding dong, Orkin man. Oh, good, I have bugs. Don't worry, I'll get them. Okay, you bugs, the Orkin man is coming to get ya. Spray, 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 you can't hide from me. All gone. Are you sure? I'm the Orkin man, aren't I?
Protect what you care about. Call Orkin, America's most trusted pest control.
Thank you, Orkin man. You're welcome.
NSP's most sensitive tool to help our customers manage energy by listening.
We'd like to cut energy costs.
We've developed programs that encourage foundries to alter energy use patterns and better manage energy bills. Now NSP is at work on other ideas for your energy needs. We're sharing these ideas with you and measuring their success with our most sensitive tool.
Energy NSP.
There appears to be more than one winning ticket in this week's New York lottery jackpot, and a group of factory workers in Mount Vernon, New York, is laying claim to part of the $41 million prize, the largest lottery jackpot in North American history. The 21 workers each say that they chipped in $1 and then agreed to share any of the winnings. And incidentally, the publicity from the New York lottery has benefited the Iowa lottery, which got underway today. Officials handed out free tickets for a chance at the nearly $6 million jackpot at several locations, including the Iowa State Fair.
Just a moment, we have this moment to remind you that at 6 o'clock tonight, Marcia Flora will report further on the governor's, the meeting between Governor Perpich and state lawmakers. It would now appear that state funding has been ruled out for convention centers in both Minneapolis and Bloomington. Terry Sater will report on the Hormel picket lines outside the First Bank in downtown Minneapolis today. The CBS Evening News in a moment after tonight's editorial.
In response to a recent Channel 4 editorial on living wills, Jackie Schweitz, co-director, Minnesota Citizens Concerned for Life.
In support of living wills, Channel 4 asserts that Minnesotans have no legal right to die. This no doubt startled viewers, as it is commonly known that people die in the state every day. We oppose legislation recognizing living wills as legally binding documents. The living will gives no right to the competent patient that that person doesn't already possess. People already have the right to give instructions on how they want to be treated when they are terminally ill. They can do this in many ways, including written instructions, and such communication is a good thing. Under present law, there is nothing to prevent doctors from withholding or withdrawing life-sustaining procedures in terminal cases. People need not fear that medical technology will be used to torture them in their final days and against their wishes. It is more likely that medical heroics people fear are the very treatments that will make possible a more comfortable, less painful death. Even so, it is the patient's right to refuse treatment, and you do not have to sign a living will to claim it. It is not possible to make a well-informed decision to end life with dignity when one cannot know if there will be special circumstances at some future time which would make them decide differently about continuing treatment. One might refuse heroic treatment after a struggle with cancer at an advanced age, but welcome it if involved in a motorcycle accident at age 22. Living will signers have no more choice than non-signers about how death will come for them. Minnesota doesn't recognize the living will as a legal instrument. This doesn't mean that citizens have no right to die. Death isn't a question of rights. It's one of the few facts of life beyond the regulatory power of the legislature.
This has been an Equal Time reply.
The CBS Evening News, I'm Mike Wallace, sitting in tonight for Dan Rather.